So I think there's been a big push for female founders over the last few years. Business, I think, has become a pretty big buzzword. I'll say a lot of it has to do with Shark Tank, but then with that, I think a lot of big push for kind of female founders in that. When we sent you a form to fill out, kind of from a marketing perspective, similar to what you would do, I guess, with your customers in there, you wrote female founder bootstrapped, or something like that, right? And so it stuck to me. Is that something that you are conscious of when you say it? Are you pushing for anything like that? Like how, like what are your just general thoughts on kind of the female founder push that you've probably seen over the last few years as well, and kind of how do you see more ladies starting businesses and making sure that happens?
Well, I'm not sure if I've noticed personally a push, but I have not been that involved with the startup type community. So, I only recently started like competing in pitch competitions and things like that. So I haven't really seen necessarily a push in that way. Shoot, I forgot the second part of your question. Why
Yeah,
did I
so
get it, or how do I think it affects
well,
things, or
I
am
think
I conscious of that? Is that what we're
yeah,
saying?
maybe not just locally, but I think maybe globally, nationally, there's been a bigger push, I think, for women-led businesses, or women having bigger roles in businesses, and I think it's awesome. I think it's great. Is whether or not that's a local thing or not, I mean, who knows? But it sounds like it sounded like it was something that you wanted to articulate and put in, kind of from a script perspective. I mean, are you consciously doing that? Is that something that you're trying to empower women with yourself? Is there anything there? Was it just happenstance? Like where are you on that?
I probably added it there. Just didn't really think of it too much as far as being a female, except I did go through that process of having a baby while trying to bootstrap my business, and I started out as a stay-at-home mom, and I think that, of course, the role of caregiver is placed a lot onto the woman in the relationship, or I can't generalize, but so it's typically, if your kids are sick, it's the mom who's going to get called. And no matter how many times I try to get the school to contact my husband, an equal amount of times that they contact me, they still don't. So, it's at the beginning of my business, all that I could pay for was childcare and credit card payments and the business expenses. And that was it for like 2 years. I mean, I had some extra spending money, but the child care burden was probably the hardest thing for me in the beginning. And then you don't really, as a male, have to think about putting your plans on hold for scaling your business because you're going to be out for 2 months because of a baby. Or more. I brought a newborn into my office and worked with her on me, and was literally holding her and telling Megan, go to this website, type this in, because I couldn't put her down. So, and just, the last 3 nights, my babies have kept me up, and I probably got 4 hours of sleep, and my husband slept all night. So, there's just maybe an imbalance. I don't know. But I didn't really think it was fair for people to say, well, women need, the SBA has special programs for women founders. And not fair, but I didn't really understand why. But when I found out unexpectedly that I was pregnant, I was actually really mad. I was mad because in 2018, the business was growing so fast, and I had these huge plans for 2019. And I was like, damn it, if I wasn't a woman, I wouldn't have to worry about this. It would be easier. That's pretty much just my only experience, but I mean, it's just my experience. And then the other part of it, though, Zach, is that, I was standing in my studio with my team, surrounded by surrounded by my team with my art pieces on the wall behind me. And somebody, now that my husband has joined the business just recently, came up to me and said, "Oh, hi, so you're the wife." When I founded this business,
Mm.
I'm the one who grew this business. I grew it to $1 million business, and then he joined it.
Why do people say that? Oh, you're so like it's so odd to me that like people just like
Mm-hmm.
it happens. Like my wife has said this to me. Oh, you're Zach's wife or something like that. It ticks her off, and I'm like, I don't understand why that's like the thing. Like, and not to compare those things because they're very different things. But like it why is that what people jump to? It just
It
seems
has
like,
there's a lot of different
I think
reasons.
it's just, I think it's just ignorance.
Well, it's gender stereotyping, and everybody
so
does
did you
it.
push back at
You know?
that? Did you push back at that when that guy said that,
Well, it was a
or
woman who
girl?
said it. Yeah. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, and
I took those photos. I did all this.
I controlled myself. And I did it. I just made it very clear. I wouldn't necessarily say like push back, but I communicated, the way that it is. But it's just gender stereotypes. That's all that it is. And I'm a private pilot, but if and so is my husband, and if anybody comes into our house and they see a headset and a logbook or some sort of aviation thing, they're not going to be like, "Oh, Erin, you fly." It's automatically it's Osvaldo, and there's a reason for that. And so and many other things. I bought an RV one time, and the lady was in the front. She's showing the steering wheel and everything, and not showing the steering wheel. She's showing the front of this RV, and she says to Oswaldo, "Oh, and there's a cup holder here, right here for you, for him, because he's the one who's going to drive the RV." Right, because I couldn't possibly drive the RV. I don't have those men equipment to drive RVs. So it just
It is interesting. People, we make this assessment. We say that this is a problem, and then we as a society, and I'm generalizing, we then jump right back in and do exactly what you're saying, where it's like, oh well, here's your cup holder. You're clearly the pilot, when it's like, yo, anyone can do these things. Like it's unreal. I'm reading this book right now, and this has to do with like athletic feats and stuff like that. And it was saying that females are getting closer to beating men in like the big time like running sports and things like that, more than men are getting faster. And so I think it said like in this century, women are going to take over men in like the 100 meter dash, something like that, like the 1 mile and things like that, which was interesting to read about that. And it'll be cool to see that.
Someone who's been directly involved within the startup community for almost a decade, I want to talk to you about a serious pain point: spending a ton of time trying to understand the business landscape in the 757. That's time that should be focused on growing the business. At StartWheel, we're here to help you by compiling all of the news you need to know about in one place. Now there's no need to search multiple websites. Just head to startwheel.org and see for yourself. That's startwheel.org.